And then I realized what that technical difficulty was. I forgot to turn my mic on. I'm sorry. I'm still getting used to some of the adaptations that I need to make for OBS to work. I'm sorry. But thank you everyone for gathering for yet another episode of the Case of the Cindered Seal. I hope that my audio is working. Yes, good. We've solved the issue. Arv was literally in chat with me for half an hour, making sure that things didn't break. So I'm really glad that that is finally sorted. So we're going to have smooth audio from here until the future. Thank you very much, Arv, for being patient with me in tech earlier this evening. Um, and with that, that means that we can finally get into today's session in the case of Descended Seal without everyone's ears hurting them throughout. So thank you so much for joining us today. As a reminder, this channel is supported by your eyes and your physical support. So if you would like to help this channel grow, there are various ways that you can do so. You can support the Patreon, which you can find in the chat at exclamation point Arftreon. You can rewatch past streams of this channel on exclamation point Arftube. You can find the various you can find several of the works that Greg himself has made at our shop and buy those things and support this channel and support the growth of the products on this channel, including this stream. You can also support Speculate. Definitely check out speculatesf.com if you want to find out more about the case of the Cindered Seal and the other streams that take place on that site. Um, and with that, I should probably check on everybody else um, first. Um, let's make sure that everyone can hear those cool people as I switch over to
Dun, dun, dun,
this
dun,
thing over
dun.
here. Hi, everybody. Say hello to all these wonderful people. Um, we are here to play yet another game of Blaze in the Dark. Um, so I will ask all of these very cool, very smart people to introduce themselves, starting with Valerie.
Valerie's like, I'm gonna take a drink of water right now. Bad idea. I'm Valerie Valdes. I'm the author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, two found family space operas that pair super well with Mike's books. They are out now. You can buy them if you wanna, and if you don't, that's cool too. You can also find my fiction for free at places like Nightmare Magazine, and my poetry at places like Uncanny Magazine. So that's me.
Apparently I'm having some video issues.
Slide showing.
I see.
And Valerie, who do you play?
I play Skelly. I am the resident creepy person who wanders around with the long gun and looks scary.
Thank you for that. I'm seeing a brief note in the chat that apparently video is at the moment a bit slideshowy, which I will attempt to mitigate as much as possible. But while that is happening, I will ask Iori to introduce themselves.
Hello, Iori Kusano, Clarion West class of 2017, she, they. Fiction in Apex Magazine, reviews in Strange Horizons, nonfic in Uncanny. I play Of the Flame the Ash, who is a Severosi lurk. Side note, it is hay fever season in Japan, and the cedar trees are going for it. Do not be alarmed, but I will be diving off camera approximately every 5 minutes to sneeze.
Duly noted. I do hope that you feel better soon. That's really unfortunate. I have no idea what that must feel like. Allergies, folks. I'm sorry. Um, next, let's hear from Yoi.
Hello, I will say this very, very quickly because someone next door is drilling and I want to prevent any pain for the audience and also myself through embarrassment. I am Yoi Gawain Lin. I am a fiction and game writer. I play Crossroads, whose pronouns are it, its. My own pronouns are he, they. Crossroads is a former whisper, now a hull, and still tells everyone that it is made of meat. Thanks to Ash, it is now also called Of the Sky the Gloaming, but it has not needed to use this incredibly smart, super secret identity yet.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mike.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate along with Brandon and our lovely host Arv, aka Greg. My latest book is Annihilation Aria, a found family space opera that goes very well with Valerie's books. I am reading Prime Deceptions right now, and it is so much fun. So I encourage y'all to be sure to go out and get Valerie's books. Also, a special announcement. Next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Time until about 9, we are going to do a special one-shot Blades in the Dark event that I am running for my author friends, M.A. Carrick, aka Marie Brennan and Alyssa Helms, along with two folks who are out there on the West Coast with them. And we are all old gaming buddies who played Changeling the Dreaming LARP back in when I was in college. So it's going to be fun to get to see all of them again. And we're going to be playing Blades in the Dark in the Rook and Rose setting of M.A. Carrick's books. The first one is The Mask of Mirrors, which I've read and loved. So I recommend that to y'all if you like kind of the Lies of Locke Lamora style of like heist fantasy. And stay tuned to the Speculate Twitter for news about that. But again, that's going to be next Sunday, the 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we'll hope to see you there. I play Ring Dalmore, who is the Spider Playbook. They are a kind of haunted veteran turned neighborhood protector. Ring's pronouns are they, them. Mine are he, him. And that's me. Back to you, Brandon.
Ooh, back to me. Okay. I'm attempting to mitigate tech issues at the same time because I want to make sure that everything is flowing smoothly. And I will sort that out as soon as possible. But where we left off on the last episode of The Case of the Cindered Seal was pretty calm for most of us. Everyone took some time to themselves, uh, made sure to check in with loved ones, get something to eat. Um, Mostly everyone was essentially just preparing for the Portas Festival to finally arrive, since everyone knew that Dern and his company of young ones was preparing to have a feast later that evening. If I am not mistaken, um, the we were just about to hear a little bit in terms of what um, Ash and Crossroads may have had planned that evening before they decided to um, perhaps venture off into that festival or perhaps do other things. So I guess first we should check in then with Crossroads. Crossroads, how are you feeling at this moment?
Crossroads is feeling like a very good friend to Ash because Crossroads hasn't left Ash so far. And in the last episode of our shenanigans, Crossroads had sat at a table and almost broken a chair while masquerading as a priest to the bird head god of death. For the neighbor or the neighborhood person Ash knew who was taking en route, who is the boarder at Ash's shop who took a brick to the head.
Yes. Are you still at um that guest's house? What was their name again?
No, we have gotten out of Mist's house as quickly as possible for the express purpose of making sure Crossroads doesn't have to interact with people.
Okay, duly noted. So where are you both headed right now?
Where are we headed? Back to the
Uh,
shop, elsewhere, grave cave.
Crossroads is following Ash.
Ash is following Crossroads, so we've run into some trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that maybe about 3 streets in, they realize that they're following each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Crossroads definitely tells Ash that, it's following her because she's smart.
So I think in this situation, the smartest option we have to kill time payment for a while would actually be going back to the grave cave. Because we did replace the glass, but that doesn't change the fact that my shop did get bricked through the window.
Okay.
So, I feel like I don't really want to hang out there
Duly
at the
noted.
moment.
Okay. So, I would like you, and by you I mean Ash,
Mm-hmm.
to give me a fortune roll.
Exciting. 1 die?
Um. How many dots do you have in survey?
I have 2.
Right, you'll give me a 2 die fortune roll.
Okay. That's a 4 and a 6. Oh, what was that sound? I don't like that sound.
I mean, this sound means that you know what's about to happen. Right. For most
And I
of
just
Yes.
I just want to note that Ash explaining why we wanted to go to the grave cave has made Crossroads nervous because now Ash is in danger and Crossroads is big. So it wants to be Ash's big friend to protect Ash from anything bad that will happen. And so now it's very nervous and things might blow up. So
and at the same time, Ash still thinks that Crossroads is the one in the most danger.
It's the buddy system. It's the buddy system. Nothing can go wrong.
This is a very unique relationship, and I appreciate it a great deal. So, most of the walk from Mist's house to the cemetery is mostly quiet. Um, it is not heavily snowing at the moment. There's like an inch and a half of snow at the moment. Not anything that you can't walk through, although it does feel obviously very brisk for Ash. Um, y- you notice like nothing particularly interesting for most of that walk, and then just around the intersection that leads into the docks, you notice two average built 20-ish-year-old men, obviously scoping you out from the corner of a tall building, like maybe like 2 blocks away. You can tell, it is very obvious to you. They are marking you.
So Ash has been living in the city of Duskfall as an AFAB person for like 5 years. What is the specific flavor of bad luck that she is getting here? Because there are, multiple flavors of predatory bad luck that a woman gets in the city.
Yes, indeed. Um, you can tell. So, like, on the spectrum of bad looks, there is a point where, for want of a better way of describing it, all violence is violence. And you have entered that red zone. It is very obvious to you that it seems like they are looking for a fight. You've never seen these two men before in particular, but you can tell that they're looking at you in specific.
Mm-hmm.
Crossroads noticed anything?
Your sensorium marks that there are bodies in high tension, um, several blocks away, but that's not like particularly noteworthy to you at that moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I can probably pick up that Ash's vitals have ticked up in
Yes.
stress,
Oh, yeah.
no?
Yeah, your sensorium also picks up that Ash looked right and then elevated heart rate.
Mm-hmm. Ash isn't good at punching things, so she is very upset about the prospect of being in a situation where she might have to try to punch things with her tiny noodle arms.
Mm-hmm. It is worth noting also that it would be very. You can tell that it would be very less than ideal if.
Well, yes, she's outnumbered, and also she's teeny, so.
Yeah, but not only would it be bad to get in a fight, it would probably be bad to let characters of this ilk survive knowing where you're headed. So you're either going to have to sneak or you're going to have to get in a fight. I'm just gonna let you know.
Yes.
Crossroads, without moving, because its voice box, it works very funny, not being a meat thing, kind of whispers at Ash, I can be a big friend now, if you want. There's only a few dangerous things.
Ash pats Crossroads on the arm and says, "You're always a big friend." Brandon, can you tell me a little about the shops and buildings around us?
The corner that you're on, mostly some textile places, one Taikaroshi restaurant, most of which is like closed or about to close because the winter is going to pick up and it's not going to be ideal for anybody coming in anyway, except for the restaurant that is seemingly open past its own closing hours. You notice some residential spaces as well, especially like 2 and 3 level apartment buildings where most of the lights are like most of like their windows are already drawn. You can see like candlelight through like most of the windows and doors. Most of this entire corner is essentially about to lock down for tonight. And you're also, it's also worth noting, you are, for a good stretch of your vision, you can tell that you are the only the only people on the street right now for several blocks are you and these two men.
I am absolutely craving Taikaroshi potatoes right now. And Ash takes Crossroads' arm and hauls them into the restaurant with her.
Okay.
Crossroads is confused, but it can put potatoes in its fake stomach, and then Ash can have all the potatoes she wants for all of winter. So it can continue being a good friend this way. So it's fine, even though it's confused. Ash is smart, so it trusts Ash knows what she's doing.
Okay.
Do I need to do a survey roll to check out how many people are in the restaurant, or are you just going to tell me?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna tell you. There are like 5 people, an elderly woman and what may be her son or grandson, 2 teenage boys and one like 40-ish-year-old woman. Um, None of them are eating anything. It seems like you can like intuit that the owner of this establishment probably only let them in because it is about to get cold. Um, there is a 30-ish-year-old man behind the counter, hairnet, stained white shirt, who is asking in the woman's direction if she would like to have something to eat. And is like that you can hear shouting in another language behind him, and he keeps turning exasperatedly, sighing, and then turning back to the old lady and asking if she would like to have something to eat, and she keeps nodding. She keeps like shaking her head no. Um, but yeah, those are the people who are immediately in this space. And give me a one die fortune roll.
The both of us or just Ash?
Just Ash.
Gotcha. In the meantime, how's Crossroads reacting to being here?
You are muted.
I am?
My bad. That
yeah.
Jeoi. Yeah. So Crossroads' sensorium is suddenly just ticking on overdrive. Because the sounds of this language are very, very familiar all the way from the back, and the smell of the potatoes is very, very particular. And it kind of feels like those hallucinations that it had earlier, where it was running around and it saw hands that were presumably its own when it was made of meat for real. So while Ash is kind of checking everything out, Crossroads is very, very statuesque in the literal sense of the word.
And that fortune roll is a 1.
It is.
Oh no!
So everything. God, I hate that this is happening, because it means that okay, um, I am about to preface everything that is about to happen narratively in this game by pointing out I, the GM of this game, Brandon O'Brien, am allowing the world and the dice to operate under its own rules, while also admitting that I, the human being Brandon O'Brien, have to personally take responsibility for the thing that is about to happen, because it is creepy as F. And I don't enjoy it, but I am doing the thing because the fortune roll is a 1.
R.I.P. in peace, Ash. And probably
We
also me.
walked in on the cult.
No.
We're gonna be turned into potatoes. Goodbye.
This
Up to you.
the room is fine. What immediately happens? So you walk in through the door. You hear like the jingle of that like very weird kind of bell thing that appears on establishment doors, but you don't hear it ring. You don't hear it jingle again, and then you feel a hand across your waist.
Ew. You know, I was going to ask if prowl could be used for fucking fleeing, but if they're already that close that fast, that might turn it into skirmish, which I have no dots in.
Indeed.
I would love that a sucker punch should be allowed to be prowl.
That's true. That is true.
You know what? I would argue. What are the parameters of a prowl again?
The mouse over text in the Roll20 API says prowl about unseen and traverse obstacles, climb, swim, jump, run, and tumble, ambush with close violence, a backstab, throat cutting, blackjack, etc.
Right. You are correct. A sucker punch. If you wanted to strike right now with the element of surprise, I would give you prowl.
Okay, we are striking with Prowl, and how many stresses and extra die on there gonna cost me?
2, I think. 2 to push yourself, right?
Yeah.
2 stress? Yeah.
Yes.
I will take it. Okay, tell me my position. Risky, desperate?
Okay.
Because we know it's not controlled at this point.
Yes, this is obviously risky.
Okay.
But
Effect?
right. So this is where I'm going to let you color this experience for me. How long have you been living in Duskfall?
About 5 years.
About 5 years. Have you ever been catcalled in Duskfall before?
Yep.
Controlled. I mean
For
standard.
standard effect. Okay. And there's a bonus die on there, and
did you roll yet? You didn't roll yet.
I have not. I am rolling now.
How many times?
Unless you have another bonus die on there.
How many times have you been catcalled in Duskfall before?
Enough that there are some neighborhoods that Ash straight doesn't go to anymore. But she usually doesn't run into it around her area.
Have you ever been in a fight with somebody who has, said... Have you ever been in a fight or been tempted to get in a fight with anybody who has said anything to you or looked at you the wrong way while you were walking on your way to work or back home?
Ash has brained someone with her purse before, but she has not physically used her own body to fight someone.
I was going to give you an extra die, but I will not. I think you pushing yourself in this moment is enough. So roll what you have.
Okay, let's find out. That's a 5-1-4.
Okay. Which I mean is enough. Yes.
Before you give the effect, I would like to say that the instant Ash actually hits this person, Crossroads is going to attune with the intent of blowing up the person's head.
Oh yeah, I was already gonna come to you, Crossroads.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, no.
Big friend.
In fact,
Big friend is here.
I was gonna make you wait to roll, but I'm going to actually need to see the roll first. Give me your attune.
All right. Position.
My big metal friend.
Position risky.
Mm-hmm. Effect.
How did you feel when you entered the room and then picked up 6 more physical signatures and then 1 more behind Ash? How did that, in the moment before you turned around, how did you feel?
Big stress for big friend.
Big stress.
Because Ash was already in danger, you see, at the graveyard. And Ash did a very smart thing that Crossroads didn't understand by going into this restaurant. But now Ash's smartness has been foiled. And so now Big Friend is very stressed because Ash is still in danger.
Nice. So, there is a thing that I keep forgetting that I can do in Blades in the Dark because it doesn't come up a great deal in the rules. But it is physically possible in Roll20. Your effect is extreme.
Oh.
And you get +1 die for this stress because it's Crossroads.
Oh god, please roll well. Please roll well. Or badly. I don't know. Please roll well. Rolling now. That's a 5, 1, 4, and 3.
5, 1, 4, and 3. Okay. 5 is still... 5 is still a thing. Right. Here is everything that happens in sequence. Ash feels a hand across the waist. um, turns to see where the body that hand is attached to is, and like to Ash's left is this like sweaty, mustached, obviously up to no good fellow who winks at Ash and says, "How you do?" Before he can finish his sentence, there is a back of the knuckle to his nose.
And point of clarification, is this man one of the two we saw outside?
Yes. So, swing. You bring that hand down, just a moderate stream of blood from the nose bridge. Before he can even look up from the pain, Ash notices that the where there are supposed to be eyes in the helmet of Crossroads chassis is now crackling yellow and blue. And then like there is this like swell of light in the room, as if there were fluorescent lights in this room, all of those lights are now suddenly getting warmer. And then a bolt of electroplasm just passes through this man's head. Like wham. You you smell like meat burning to absolutely well done. Um this man finally turns to you and you can see like a quarter of his face below the nose is missing. And he is now bleeding profusely and he just like leans over and dies. Everyone in the room is now looking at you. Several people's hairs, like their eyebrows and the hair on their head is like singeing to the point where you can smell all of their hair smoking in the room.
Oh dear, we've made a scene.
And
Crossroads
Crossroads, as the light kind of like dims, like this burst of effort from you like almost turns all of your sight pure white. Like your sensorium is still working, but you literally cannot perceive anything through your sensorium. And as that electroplasm starts to like fade away, you notice the silhouette of um a very tense, very like elevated heart rate person standing outside the restaurant who is readying what your sensorium obviously determines is the shape of a crossbow.
A crossbow, like a crossroads, but not friendly and tiny.
And you're the only person that notices this, so if you're going to act, you will have to act now.
Okay. I'm looking at my dots.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the most dots in a tune. Can I attune through windows?
I mean, you can attune through anything that you can do serious damage to if you wanted to.
The other thing is that the door is still open, isn't it?
I mean, there's a gaping hole through that door right now. Like electroplasm just blasted through. It blasted through the person who was standing right in front of it.
Oh god, the door's super open.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the snowstorm.
Like shattered
we've
glass.
ruined this poor.
Yeah.
Oh, these poor people. This poor man who owns this restaurant. Oh no.
So, remember when Crossroads brought the cop to a party and the cop became the party and then stopped existing completely?
Yes. I remember this.
Crossroads is going to do that again, or at least try to.
Okay. Right. So to clarify, the last time you fought somebody and turned that person into fireworks, you were trying to wreck them.
Yes. But this time, because there is a crossbow, I think Crossroads isn't going to run out because it still wants to provide cover to Ash. Because Ash is made of meat, and meat can't be stuck with a stick or it dies. But Crossroads is not made of meat. So
Okay.
Crossroads wants to stay in front of Ash. So Crossroads is gonna like move towards like to get a better line of sight on attuning this person's head also, but try and stay between Ash and this person
Right.
and just attune the heck out of them.
Okay. I will need you to make two separate rolls for me. You will have to
Okay.
give me a roll to reposition yourself to be in front of Ash, and then
Okay.
you'll have to give me a roll for whatever else you wish to do.
Okay.
So,
Would that be a finesse or a prowl for repositioning?
I believe, especially considering the overall circumstances, that prowl would be best.
Okay. So rolling for prowl, my position is risky.
Your position is desperate.
Oh,
You are also under incredible stress at this moment.
that's very true. My
Um,
effect.
your effect, god damn it, is limited. Fudge.
Okay. I'm not going to push myself because Crossroads' main intent for pushing is for attuning. So rolling that now, no bonus dice. That's a 1 and a 2. So Crossroads abandons Ash, I guess.
I mean, you move, but it you cannot tell that it is not enough
Okay.
to cover Ash at this moment.
Okay.
So now we get into the combat intention, which is
Okay.
what do you want to do?
I want to attune the stranger's head again. Or, yeah.
You
I would like to blow up the stranger like a melon with the power of
okay.
ghost.
Right. Okay. So, right. In physical space, the question that I need you to answer is
Mhm.
the equivalent of are you going to stab this person or are you going to shoot this person? Which is, do you want to. Is your intent to replicate the blast that you just made earlier? Or is the intention that you want to replicate the time that you grabbed someone's head and they burst into fireworks?
I think that time I actually stabbed him through the head with my face because my face is pointy, and then he blew up.
Yes,
Uh,
that's essentially what happened. You headbutted someone so badly that they burst into flame.
mhm. uh, yes, I guess if yeah, I think Crossroads is stressed enough that it would fling itself into direct contact with this person. Because again, if it's in direct contact with this person, then the person can't be shooting Ash. Because the possibility that this person is trying to shoot it does not enter its mind. So, yes, I suppose. Just
Okay,
to. Mm-hmm.
right. So first I need you to give me a two die fortune roll.
A 2 die fortune roll. Number of dice 2.
You can put in the
Rolling.
notes ow.
Ow.
Yes,
Well, that's a 6 and a 2.
noted. Before I can tell you what that means, I will need you to give me the roll for your combat, which I know is either another prowl or a skirmish, and I'm leaning towards skirmish.
Okay, so I will roll skirmish, although it is ambushing, kind of, with close violence.
I mean, it's not an ambush anymore because
That's true.
he has your sight.
That's true. Okay, so skirmish. Uh,
Your position is still desperate.
My position is desperate.
Your effect is extreme.
I'm just gonna say I only have the one dot in
Oh yeah.
skirmish, so this is gonna be interesting. Although,
I mean, you can push yourself, and I have a devil's bargain ready for you.
oh no.
Do you want to hear the devil's bargain before you say yes
Yes,
or no?
please tell me what the devil's bargain is.
It is very obvious that if you make a scene, like it is like dramatically obvious to you in this moment that if you make a scene here, it means that bluecoats who know that they're looking for you will frequent this area even more readily for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
But if I
like,
take the devil's bargain, then I still have some effect, even if I roll a 1. Is that how that works again?
um,
I have not taken a devil's bargain myself, so
it's been a
I'm
while
not.
since I've dealt with Devil's Bargain. If I
Yeah.
recall, a Devil's Bargain gives you one bonus die or another thing that I cannot recall at the moment.
So Devil's Bargain is listed under the bonus die area. I don't remember. I can look it up to see what the rules say, but I would think make a ruling as you see fit.
Mm-hmm. I was prepared to give you the bonus die if you wanted it for that Devil's Bargain.
Well,
What say you?
I will take it because Crossroads is already going to be very weird in trying to light this guy up anyway, so I think it would have happened. So yes, I will do that.
If
Okay.
Crossroads gets dented during this escapade, Ash will help it like pound it back into shape and buff it out.
Okay, so you have
So-
one bonus die for this roll.
And to clarify again, it was desperate and extreme.
Yes.
Okay. God, I hope this works out. Rolling. That's a 3 and a 6.
Okay. The continuance of the sequence of events. You seek to get yourself in an ideal position that um if a bolt was fired, you would prevent Ash from getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you're in an ideal position. You think that you're also in an ideal position to just grab this person and severely hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Your instinct just kind of responds in this moment, and you just leap out this broken window, headlong onto this person.
Well,
He
do I
fires.
attune now?
He fires instinctively at that moment. Wham! You do not see where it goes. In
Okay.
this like moment of frenzy, you do not pick up anything about that arrow. You are still in this haze of pure electroplasmic rage.
Mm-hmm.
You seize this man by the shoulder. Both of you fall down into the snow. You, at this moment, you are literally so like tense and afraid and mad. You don't actually even register what the action that you take is. But everybody else in this restaurant can see you put one hand on this man's neck, raise the other hand, bring it down on this man's head, but before anyone can see his head actually become concave, he just kind of becomes this bright flash on the ground and then just a shadow of Ash. Like just burnt into the snow. There's just where he is, there is no snow, just a shadow.
I would like to clarify that as Crossroads leapt out the door to eventually murder this person. It yelled in Taikarosi without realizing it, "Leave my small friend alone."
That
Ash
makes
didn't understand that, but I expect everyone in the restaurant did.
um. This is where things get a lot more a lot. And I'm tempted to be mean about it. This doesn't happen in Blades. This is just me. This is just me essentially being cruel. Iori, I would like you in
Yes.
roll 20 to slash roll 1d2, essentially flipping a coin.
Okay. And I assume this is to figure out whether or not Ash just got shot.
I know the answer to that question already.
That's a 2.
Cool. You see everything. You are absolutely in a daze at this point. There a lot of action has just happened. Adrenaline is doing things to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is looking at you. You feel very self-conscious about the fact that everyone is looking at you.
Uh-oh.
You hear now that you're facing the window, you hear that the granny who is now to your left, the old lady, says something in Taikarosi. Very briefly, Crossroads, you know what that old lady said. Even though to your mind you've never spoken this language before, you've never had to comprehend this language before, it strikes you as a common tongue that you've spoken already very easily. And you register it almost as if she was speaking Akarosi as, "Are you alright, miss?" And that's when you turn around.
Oh no.
Ash, you have a level 2 harm.
Where am I hit? I love this. This is so dramatic.
This is a lot. How do I want to word this? I know you've been struck in the side with this crossbow bolt. It is through and through. The head is in your back and the fletching is still in front of you. It's just a whole crossbow bolt just nestled in your side.
Okay.
From the Blades perspective, I do want to note here that you do have the chance to resist this harm if you want.
Right.
Yeah,
yes,
but
true.
I think, I want to roll with the harm just for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
I love this. This is great.
Okay, so you've been shot. You've been shot in the abdomen with a crossbow bolt. You're not bleeding terribly, but you are in a now that it has been brought to your attention, you are in a lot of pain. Crossroads, it looks bad. You don't know how meat works, but you know that it struck some meat within the meat.
Mhm.
And Ash, you know that you cannot travel with this exposed.
Mhm.
If you can't answer the question, why do you have an arrow inside you? And you
Yeah.
definitely can't answer it to a blue coat. So you're gonna have to do something.
Yeah. So Ash's entire plan here was not potatoes. It was go through the back exit and then switch onto other streets and just run. So now that running is very much not an option because crossbow, she's pretty freaked out. Because even after Crossroads electrocuted 2 people, the plan was still run like hell. Now that running is physically removed from the options list, Ash is deeply concerned. Also, this fucking hurts.
Crossroads has meanwhile ripped the coat off of the not vaporized dude and is like putting it on Ash because Ash put clothes on it before. So this is obviously what it should do for Ash. And it's still talking in Taikarosi without realizing it. But it's saying, "My small friend is hurt. Please help my small friend."
And Ash's main calculus right now is trying to keep Crossroads from freaking out any more than it very clearly is. Because Crossroads is speaking a language she doesn't know. Ash is so alarmed. And she looks up at Crossroads and goes, "I'm a kebab now."
"What's a kebab?" says Crossroads in Taikarosi. But except for kebab, it's all in Taikarosi. "Can I put it in my chest?" "Oh." And then Crossroads is going to try and pick Ash up because Ash is very tiny and wrapped up in a coat burrito now.
Lifting Ash will not be an issue for you, but
Okay.
I would like you to give me a 3-die fortune roll.
A 3-die fortune roll. Okay. I'm writing Big Owl for the notes. Oh no, that's a 1, a 3, and a 3.
Okay.
R.I.P. and peace, Ash.
No. We haven't gotten to that point yet. Jeez. Yikes. Right.
Mike is just hiding right now because.
So.
Okay.
I was also leaning towards escape via Crossroads, but I do want to note that there would probably be additional harm incurred by being carried off by Crossroads due to jostle damage from Crossroads hurrying. Like, that crossbow bolt's just going to be rattling around, tearing more stuff open.
Well, it's in many layers of meat, so unless I'm flapping you around like a piece of bacon held up in a wind tunnel, you should be fine.
I'm not sure that's how that works.
What a truly evocative simile, though.
I was gonna say that was a very specific image.
Jeoi, okay. Your like off the dome writer chops are unquestionable.
Thank you.
So much is happening. Hold on. Okay. Right. Of note. One. A 4-segment clock has begun.
Well.
Essentially, it's whether an external party is going to come and observe this scene, whether it be Bluecoats or some other entity. 2. That fortune roll was for me to determine how many of the people in this room who speak Taikarosi would be motivated to help you in this moment. What happens is the owner of this restaurant, another a woman of age, like I want to say late 50s, finally comes out from the back of the shop, like holding a giant ladle in one hand, like very rapidly cursing to the man who was like standing at the counters, like, you can very briefly make out in Taikarosi, what is all this commotion? Who's making all this fucking noise inside? And then she comes out and sees Ash has been shot in the chest with a crossbow. Everyone in this building is frozen in fear and confusion right now. They didn't expect on the first day of winter to experience a shootout in a goddamn restaurant. You can tell, Ash, you can see, especially in the lady's sons or grandsons' face, like the two customers sitting on the other side, you can tell people want to do something, but like you've seen this face before of I want to help, but you know what happens to people in Duskfall when they help.
You know
And
what?
like no one in this room is prepared to help you right now. And you can see
Ash
that
is
they
going to
want
make it easy for us. Or
Uh
at least for them.
how?
Ash had been trying to stay vaguely upright-ish in Crossroads' arms.
Mm-hmm.
And now, she closes her eyes and goes limp. Ash is playing dead!
Jesus Christ, why?
Why would you do this to me? I served you loyally.
Escalate, 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 escalate.
Oh my god, give me...
Crossroads has a sensorium.
I
Crossroads can tell Ash is still alive. There's a heartbeat right there.
That's not what I need. That's not what I need each of you to give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Okay.
Okay.
Each of us, right? Just one?
Yes, but Ash goes first.
Okay.
Okay. 3.
Nice. Let me get Crossroads.
My small friend is dead, I scream into the notes.
Oh lord.
4. 4 is what I got.
Ash commits to the role of the fall. Unfortunately, it means that Ash's position of fall would have led very squarely into just pushing the rest of that bolt all the way through, like losing fletching inside your abdomen.
Whoops.
Crossroads catches you literally like picometers before that happens. Like there is a shot in this episode of like you about to land and like entire front first onto the stone of this restaurant, and the distance between the arrow and the floor is literally like this.
And the
What
way
is
we know that Ash
happening?
is truly committed to this role is that hurt like a bitch, but she's not screaming. I mean, by the time we're done with this, she might not have molars anymore from all the teeth grinding that is happening. But she is not screaming. She's taking it like a champ.
Okay.
So Crossroads has caught Ash, correct?
The way
Okay.
that essentially the way that you've caught Ash is like under the arms. Like, how do I explain this? Like if you were dragging, like you know how like how someone would drag someone by by under their arms,
Yes.
but instead of holding Ash in such a way that Ash is facing up, Ash is facing down.
Oh. So, like, if Ash was a very concussed baby.
Yes.
Okay.
And
yes?
Ash's intention here was basically, if I'm dead, the people in this restaurant aren't going to be trying to agonize over whether or not they're going to help Crossroads, and Crossroads will just get us out of here. This is probably not how it's going to go, but that was her plan.
Well, it works pretty great because Crossroads switches over from what is a kebab in Taikarosi to my small friend is dead. My small friend is dead. I need to get my small friend somewhere else. And then just hitches up Ash like they're holding a concussed baby and runs out of the shop.
Brandon,
Wait,
do I
are
need
you going
to
to
roll
leave?
for it?
Wait, hold on. Crossroads, are you going to leave?
Yes.
Okay, what were you going to ask me?
I was going to ask if I need to roll for jostle damage because Crossroads is carrying Ash, running while she's got a crossbow bolt in her, and that thing's going to be moving around, tearing more bits of tissue and whatnot.
Oh
Or
yeah,
do you
let's
just assign me the damage?
I'm just gonna say that I didn't change positions. I'm still holding you hanging straight down.
essentially yes.
Yes.
The knowledge
But
that
my
was
large
ideal.
friend is running, and
Wait,
when
are
my
you
large friend runs, there's a lot of thump, thump, thump.
Yeah, but the bolt has like one bit on one side of you and the other bit on the other side of you, and it's held by all the layers. So it's actually
Yes, because
quite
I'm a
stable.
kebab.
Yes. So we're like jostling you perpendicular to the bolt. We're not jostling you parallel to the bolt. So you should be totally fine. Crossroads doesn't actually know any of this. I'm a genius, so we're gonna be
reasonable.
okay.
A lot is happening. Did we wound Valerie?
Valerie, please come back. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. This became a lot very quickly. It was not
I'm
what I
actually
intended.
laughing hysterically at it.
So
I wasn't-
much.
I wasn't sure because like the concussed baby thing, and like you have had babies, and I kind of wanted to check
My
in on
baby
that.
literally ran into a chair and cut her eye open today. She definitely hurts herself all the time. So I'm kind of used to that. But I am actually just laughing a lot.
Okay.
Okay. A lot is still happening. Are you dragging Ash?
No, I'm running with Ash like arms straight out.
Oh, is this like the baby Bjorn carry where Ash is facing into Crossroads' chest, basically?
Yes, you are facing my chest and your arms are hanging because I still have you under the arms,
Mhm.
but I'm holding you straight out because that's
Gotcha.
how I caught you, and I have panicked so much that I have not changed my position.
This is a truly excellent mental image.
Mm-hmm.
This is
You're
a
my
lot,
small friend.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. And Crossroads is running to Ring's place because Ring is the next smartest person, and Ring will be able to fix this.
And I just
Merry
want to
Christmas,
clarify.
Ring.
And I just want to clarify. So, Crossroads has burritoed Ash in the coat so that
Yes.
to the average passerby or witness, the crossbow bolt is not readily apparent.
No.
It looks like this hull is just maybe carrying a drunk, a dead person.
Mm-hmm. Or Crossroads is quite big, and you are quite small. So perhaps if all these people, I'm just tossing this out to the DM because the DM might feel generous, to all these people getting newly satiated on the Porter's Feast, they might think, wow, that very concerned bird mama is running around with bird baby. How sweet and quaint, and a symbol of the season. I'm not going to think about this again.
To be fair, I'm not going to think about this again as how most people react to seeing anything happen in Duskwall.
That's true. Lots of weird stuff happens in Dustfall.
Okay. A lot of things still need to happen now. Oh my word. If you're running, you need to give me a roll for the run.
Yes. Will that be a prowl, I guess?
A case can be made for prowl. Please make the case for prowl.
Because I'm not sure what other prowess roll I could make for moving at speed as quickly as possible without drawing attention.
Prowl does say,
Okay.
where does it go? Climb, swim, run, jump, and tumble.
Mhm.
Traverse obstacles.
That's true. Okay.
Right,
so
yes. It has to be prowl.
Yeah, so I'm prowling / speeding / running with my small friend baby to Ring's place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what is my position?
Your position is desperate.
Yep. Desperate me. Desperate big friend. My
Your
effect?
effect is limited.
Limited. Okay. And Crossroads is going to push itself to get there as fast as possible in as speedy a manner as possible. So that's
Would
2
you
stress
like
for me.
would,
Another.
would you like a devil's bargain?
I already took one!
Do you want to hear what it is?
What is the devil's bargain?
Remember when I said that people were going to want to observe the scene where somebody blew someone's head open with electroplasm?
Yes.
People are going to want to observe the scene of a hull very loudly trampling through the docks.
Oh. No, I think I will push myself for this one.
Okay.
Yes.
So the one extra die from the push.
Okay, yes. Somehow when I went to mark stress, it removed the inputs, so desperate again, limited, and then 1 extra die.
Yes.
That is correct? Yes. Okay. Submitting, please be good. No! It's a 1, a 3, and a 2!
You are not getting very far in the snow, and it's reaching the point where you are struggling to tell which direction you're headed in.
Oh my god, is she leaving a blood trail? Is she leaving a blood trail?
I mean,
believe
on
is-
the upside,
good.
the low temperature means that there actually probably won't be that much blood trail.
Your blood is freezing on your body.
Oh my god. As it stands, you actually have no idea where you are. Just that you are a good distance away from the restaurant. You can't even tell if you're headed in the direction of the grave cave at this point. You just ran.
Okay. Can I tell at least if I'm in the correct neighborhood?
None of these things look familiar to you. You are still confused and tense. Give me a 1 die fortune roll.
A 1 die fortune roll. I will roll this and then I will do what I intended to do next. 1 die. A 3! I'm getting so many 3s.
Well, the other thing is that now that we are well out of that restaurant, Ash doesn't have to be playing dead. She's probably like in a lot of pain, making a really alarming, shrill, keening noise because of the pain. But does she know where we are?
You know that you are well past the docks as if you had ran essentially in the other direction but with extra east. Also, you can't you are not in a position to diagnose your present state, but it is worth noting that you are struggling to breathe at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Crossroads, you wanted to do a thing after that fortune roll?
Yes, I wanted to double check on Ash because my sensorium is telling me that Ash is still alive. But now I want to, confirm that verbally.
Okay.
Ash?
Yeah.
Should I keep holding you like this? Is there a better way to hold you?
I'm not sure I'm aware of the alternatives.
Oh. Do you know where we are? I don't know where Ring is.
And Ash looks around, realizes that we are definitely not in the docks. Does she recognize enough of the area to be able to give Crossroads a vague idea of which way to point?
You will have to give me a roll for that.
Okay. Fortune?
No, it will have to be an action.
Survey?
Right, yes, survey makes sense because you're essentially attempting to find a landmark that you already know.
Okay.
Can I assist by lifting Ash above my head and then turning very gently? so Ash doesn't actually have to expend the effort of moving her head because she is
You
injured.
you can perform that action. I am not sure if it will assist.
Okay.
What's
Well,
my
I do it.
position?
I do it anyway.
Your 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 position is controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Your
And
effect
our effect?
your effect is limited.
Okay. Any bonus dice?
No.
Okay, let's see what happens. We have a 6 and a 3.
Okay. Good lord. Remind me where Ring and Skelly are?
I think
Just for general context, have you all met up at all since this is. I can't remember if you all met up at all before this happened.
I think this all depends on the timeline. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, my intention was for Ring to have the group over for a small Porter's Day thing, either before or after Dern's event. So depending on when in the day it is, Ring might still be out and around in the neighborhood doing errands and or smoothing over the situation with the Bluecoats coming after Dern. That's my
Right.
best guess.
So. So the timeline is that because you are still dealing with that, it's still. Like, it is not the Porter's Festival feast that Dern and his boys are putting together hasn't started yet. I'm gonna say that you did successfully attempt to or successfully resolve the issue with Dern because we already dealt with that entanglement. But it means unless Skelly came looking for you, both of you are presently separated.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
If you were headed in a direction, Ash, where would you go?
It would depend a lot on whether or not we were being followed. Probably, like,
Your roll is a 6 and a
Ash's
3?
instinct. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Crossroads would scan the area with Sensorium just to make sure that nothing nasty was following. But Crossroads is also very stressed, so there is leeway to say someone was indeed following you.
Right, yeah, that was what that was the concern of that earlier fortune roll. Right. Okay. Where would you go if you were being followed? You are presently muted.
Muted, yes. If we were being followed, then there's no real point avoiding the shop. The situation has escalated enough that not going back to the shop is not solving things. If Ash had reasonable confidence that they were not being followed, her instinct would be like grave cave, most likely. And then have Crossroads like leave her there and go for help. Because going directly to Ring's place would be rude. It would ruin dinner. She would probably bleed on and their carpets.
Okay. So to
As
clarify, if you were being followed, you would head toward the shop.
Yep.
Okay. Crossroads.
Crossroads thinks Ash maybe has been shot in the meat that makes her smart, because Crossroads thinks this is a terrible idea. And if on the way to being directed to the shop recognizes Ring's place, is going to go to Ring because Ring is smart and Ring can fix this. Crossroads trusts Ring, and
This
Crossroads is carrying Ash.
this is all very useful information. This is what happens. Ash,
This is, incidentally, why Ash doesn't like big horses. Such limited input into where she's going.
right. So the things that are about to happen are essentially happening at the same time. Ash, you stop to determine where you are, like to get your bearings, so you can determine where the shop is. The shop is quite a ways, literally back the way you came. But as you notice that, you notice with your eyes two people coming from a street to your right. And Crossroads, you notice with your sensorium that there are 5 people whose heart rates are incredibly elevated, and they're all walking very briskly towards you both.
Crossroads hates being able to count because now everything is extra stressful.
This is a
Ash
lot.
only knows about the 2 people, but Ash's first instinct is to tell Crossroads, put me down. Put me down, pretend I'm drunk. This is bad. This will probably cause her further injury. But she's trying to get Crossroads to leave. So she's just like, put me down and go away. Put me down and go away.
Crossroads says no.
You're the one they want. You need to run.
You're made of meat.
That's not what we're arguing right now.
At precisely this moment, I need Ash to give me a 2 die fortune roll.
Okay.
Notes, ow.
Mm-hmm. 6-1.
Oh god. Oh.
6 is good. 6 is good. Good things happen when you roll a 6. The people that you see, you can see that they are armed. One of them calls out to you, but you cannot hear what they say.
Ooh, and this was the good outcome.
And just as you notice that they say it, like you feel a very strong breeze, everything starts to hurt again. And you notice it's not snowing, but visibility sure has dropped very suddenly. You can still see them, but but you can tell that if it does start to snow, or if the wind picks up any stronger, visibility will dip even more. Um,
So Crossroads is going to try and be a good friend. But probably this is going to fail spectacularly because Crossroads is just going to extra pick up Ash and run back the way they came and really hope they find Ring this time.
are you sure you want to run?
Depending on the condition of the street right now.
The other alternative would be to try and find some sort of abandoned shop front or building near here to shelter in.
But like, I wanna. At this point, the person unfortunately with the most overall
unfortunately.
Control of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crossroads is the one with the monopoly on actual
Movement.
action at this
Uh-huh.
point. If
Yeah.
you are going to run, you are going to have to give me a prowl roll.
Mhm.
Your position is desperate.
Okay.
Your effect is standard. I have a devil's bargain for you.
Oh my god. What is it?
In this moment of absolute tension,
Mm-hmm.
it is almost certain that if any of the five total people that you acknowledge are all combatants, and any of them has a crossbow, they're going to shoot at you again.
Mm.
And if it comes to that, you're going to have to get in a fight. I'm giving you I'm giving you this bonus die essentially to acknowledge that if things go poorly, you will have to get in a fight with these five people.
Okay. Hmm. Where is Crossroads standing right now? Is Crossroads standing in such a way that it is exposed to every corner of the street?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially on the pavement of one of those corners.
Okay. Um, because there are that many people, uh, Crossroads is going to mimic Ring when Ring was very, very stressed that one time and seemed to not be present, but Ring had like kind of adjusted their body such that their back was to a wall, and so there was, less surrounding stuff. And Ring is very smart, so Ring probably did that for a reason. So Crossroads is going to try and bolt for basically like a better fighting position instead of like the dead middle of the street.
Okay.
And in the
This
yeah, and like by doing that, hopefully try and get back to uh the general neighborhood of Ring, because Ring is smart and Ring hears about everything. So if Crossroads makes enough noise, Ring will definitely know about it.
I want to say that's obviously still a prowl.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right, okay, cool.
So
So your position and effect still stand.
yeah, desperate, limited, and then one bonus die with the devil's bargain.
Yes.
Okay, here we
Come on,
go.
6.
Please crit.
There's a
5,
6.
6, and
Okay,
3.
cool.
Yes.
5, 6, and 3 is good.
Mm-hmm.
Ash, give me a one die fortune roll.
Let's see.
Notes owl.
Mm-hmm. 2.
Okay.
Have I progressed to the need help stage of harm?
No, not yet. No, not yet. No, not yet.
Oh, wow.
Things hurt, and things are about to hurt a lot more.
Oh god.
What actually happens in that moment of clarity that Crossroads just had? Crossroads doesn't really look around. It just like intuits, this is not good. Maybe we should move. Um, and then essentially fireman carries you and starts just bolting in a direction, and then that direction settles on shoulder charging the door of an apartment complex nearby, which one disturbs your shit a great deal, so you are now in pain.
Ouch.
um but now you're all inside. um
Sorry, when you say all, do you mean the two of us, or do you also mean us and the people chasing us?
The two of you are inside this building. Um, it you didn't move that far, but you know that this is a better, more advantageous position than being out in the street. Um, some of the windows you now settle to notice are barred up. Like this building hasn't been like in use for some time now, covered in dust, has like discarded furniture inside it. Um, which you can essentially just pick up the shape of rotted pieces of wood and stuff from your sensorium is how you know. It's totally dark at this point because snow and wind has kind of just killed what little light you could possibly get in a world where the sun has already broken anyway. Um, okay. Things are about to happen, so I think that while we try to settle on what some of those things are that's going to happen, I'm gonna ask if we could take a very small bio break. If we could 5 minutes, everybody could drink some water, cycle their fluids, uh, so I can recalibrate all of the wild stuff that has just happened.
Go and
Brendan,
carry your babies.
I'm also prepared to spend a fair amount of stress on the coincidence for Ring and or Skelly to be able to join this sequence.
I really want. I am going to. In fact, right. So first, 5 minute bio break.
Yeah,
Um,
if you want to do a fortune roll that either Ring or Skelly wanders into the Taikaroshi restaurant because they were just hungry, like
we we will get there in a moment, but
Cool.
Skelly's like,
follows a
ooh,
trail of blood.
potatoes.
first, and this is an invitation not only for the cast but to those in the audience. This is your opportunity to stretch, drink some water, loosen the tension in your shoulders, and we will be right back with more of the case of the Cindered Seal. Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome back to this evening's episode of the Case of the Cindered Seal, where a lot is happening. And even a lot more is about to happen because we are going to lead with the action at this point. So the scene that I am going to set up for that to happen is um, right. So Ash and Crossroads are inside this building right now. Ash is still severely wounded. There's still an arrow all the way inside Ash. Um, Crossroads just stormed into this building and essentially hunkered down, waiting to see how how much more terribly hostile this situation can possibly get. And
Crossroads can
then,
get even more hostile. Just watch.
and then, I would like Skelly to give me a roll. What would you like to roll?
Hunt.
Of course. Um so your position is risky. How many dots do you have in hunt?
2.
What abilities do you have?
Sharpshooter and focused.
And what weapon are you using?
I am using, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't change my loadout for that. Because I've got fine pair of pistols, but right now I'd be using my fine long rifle.
Okay. Remind me what the skill sharpshooter says and does.
You can push yourself to do one of the following: make a ranged attack at extreme distance beyond what's normal for the weapon, or unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy.
Okay, cool. Right. So, your position, as I previously stated, was risky.
Now, I will note that focused does allow me to expend my special armor to push myself for ranged combat or tracking.
Mhm. Your effect is standard.
I am going to push myself.
Okay. Just a normal push, or are you going to use focused?
I'm going to um, if I use focused, does that give me a bonus die basically? Is that the idea there?
Yes. Essentially, if you use focused
Then,
instead of taking stress, you would expend your special armor for that push.
okay. I'll take the stress this time actually, because I am stress free at the moment thanks to indulging my vice.
Nice. Okay.
All right, so 1 bonus die here. Let's see what happens. And that's a 6, a 2, and a 4.
Nice. Cool. So this scene is taking place from the inside. Ash, like, like huddled against a broken piece of furniture, still
I'm in pain.
obviously like focused on this extreme pain that you're feeling in your side. Crossroads trying and not being sure if it's succeeding or failing at being small and not gathering the attention of anyone outside. Um, Crossroads hears someone, like hears from the direction of a silhouette that is visible from the sensorium, someone shouting through the building. Can't make out what they're
What's
saying through like the strong wind and the falling snow, but you can tell that this is a very angry voice, very eager to get inside. And then you,
cross?
and then, right? Wait, first, what does Crossroads do slash think slash feel at this moment?
Crossroads gets ready to attune some more because it's attuned before and it's ready to attune again. And then because it's channeling Ring right now, it yells in the most Ring-ish voice possible, "I have a gun," because Ring had a gun.
Right. So that's how that happens. Okay, cool. So you focus in the way that Ring has focused before, and like Ash can see like this faint crackling of electroplasm all across um Crossroads' head. And just as you start saying, "I have a," you see the silhouette just slump to the ground. Wham! The camera cuts to Skelly on a rooftop on the other side of the um intersection. Long rifle in hand, peering through the sniper scope. Um, as a round has just passed through this man's neck, and he is now on the ground. This is where we get to flashback and answer the question: how did Skelly get here? So, how did Skelly get here?
So Skelly was actually on the way to see Ring because Skelly had finished eating and making sure that her cat was fed. Truffle was left very happily chilling in the apartment. And so it seemed like it was probably a good time to reconvene and see what was going down. And as Skelly was heading to meet up with Ring, she was intercepted by a teenager who carried a message from Ring, which was basically, hurry.
Okay, so that means that if that message was from Ring, that one of those porters met Ring first, yes?
To Ring.
Yep, I think we then flash to Ring with like an arm full of stuff and a scarf, like a scarf that's new. It's very festive, and I think the young porter who came and delivered a message to Ring before comes like sliding on already slightly slippery cobblestones into frame and says, like, "There's somebody after the big one with the beak," and Ring hands them the stuff and says, "Take this to my place. Where are they?" And we smash cut from there back to Skelly.
Okay, so that gives us an opportunity to just kind of breeze through the establishment of what's about to happen right now. Because this is a score. What kind of score is it?
Did we want to do the transport plan or the fighty plan or something else?
So,
Well, Ash was never useful in the fight to begin with, but Ash is even less useful in the fight now.
mhm.
So we're one down if we're starting a fight.
I
As
will
far-
say,
Sorry.
I will say just as an aside that while I am going to let everybody deliberate, and while everybody is essentially already in score mode, the only people who know that this is a score and are essentially making decisions about the plan and how it goes are Ring and Skelly. So still feel free to please like point out what you have in mind, but when things get underway, actual strategy will be in those two hands.
And honestly, thank God for that.
It's been working out so well when I'm in charge, though.
I mean, it's gotten us this far. Things could have gotten a lot worse in that restaurant, I imagine.
Mhm.
So, what do you have in mind, Ring Skelly?
I think a transport plan of how to move everybody through the district to lose the tail might be the smartest one. If y'all are game, because it can be a transport plan and still involve violence.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max Fury Road is a transport plan.
This is indeed true.
I will go with whatever Ring and Skelly come up with because I am sticking to my character who knows nothing but
I have a
believes in
crossbow
their
bolt.
friends. So
Yep.
I have a crossbow bolt in me. I don't get to have an opinion on this situation.
Yeah, I think if we're doing transport, the detail comes from the fact that Ring knows the city and I have the gear blueprints, a folio of useful architectural drawings and city plans, which I think I can reasonably express as Ring has lived in this city for nearly all of their life and can craft a back alley and rooftop route designed to try to lose pursuers, but that also has sight lines for Skelly to do defensive sniper cover.
Mm-hmm. This is also there is also room here for some porter law because obviously, um, like part of the culture of the Porters Festival, etc., is in part the acknowledgement that there is a built-in series of secret routes that um, people in the transportation business, people in the smuggling business have used during adverse weather conditions in order to move contraband without being noticed or without being held up by that weather. So it's perfectly possible that that's what you're exploiting here as well,
Yep.
which works for me.
Okay. Cool.
So, this is where you do engagement things,
mhm.
which I need to remind myself of the engagement rule questions.
Yep. We should pick load. Ring is
Indeed.
going with normal.
Right now, I just need to know like what level of load you're using. Obviously, especially since we've already established that Skelly at least has one, at least what has one firearm ready. Um,
I went ahead and did the loadout. Skelly's got the long gun and 2 pistols.
okay. Having prepared the two pistols implies that we're going to engage in a lot of carnage this evening. Okay, cool. Um, right, so I am opening the thing to make sure of these things. I'm sorry, when the PDF opens, I will do the thing. I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on. And now I can't find my mouse cursor. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Crossroads. Crossroads, you didn't tell me you could speak Taikarosi.
I think Crossroads didn't tell itself that it could speak Taikarosi.
no.
Feel free to engage in the rest of that conversation while I'm trying to open this thing.
I don't. I can get us the engagement roll things.
I would appreciate that a lot. My computer is not
Great.
cooperating.
So engagement roll is a fortune roll starting with 1 die for sheer luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? If so, take plus 1d. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? If so, take minus 1d.
Right, I found the thing. Okay, yes. So, to that first question, is this operation particularly bold or daring? Take plus 1d. If this operation is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Take minus 1d. I would argue that this is Very bold and very upfront on its face. So that's 2. Um, does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Take plus 1d. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? Take minus 1d. You don't know anything specifically about this target, but you do
Yeah.
know the terrain arguably better than anybody else would know. So I'm inclined to say that that's plus 1.
I also know putting bullets in their heads probably is going to hurt them.
Yes,
That's true.
this is true.
It does reduce their scale.
So I am inclined to say that's another 1. Can any of your
Okay,
friends or contacts provide? Wait, nope. Mike, you were going to say a thing.
Oh, I was going to say what you're saying, so please continue.
Okay. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Take plus 1d. Are any enemies or rivals interfering in the operation? Take minus 1d. I'm going to say because these are your blueprints, it would be kind of improper to invoke August at this point because this is information that you already know, in part information that you already know by rote anyway. So while you don't gain any dice, I don't think you lose any dice for that question either. So you're still at 3. Are there any other elements that you want to consider? I am in a position to drop a die because of the weather conditions.
Sure.
Which would bring you to 2. So is there any other case that you want to make as a result to gain any more dice?
I did specifically make an acquire asset roll to get snow boots.
Okay. And this is for you or for both of you?
My recollection is that when I rolled it, it was to be for the group, because generally when you make an acquire asset roll for this type of thing, it gives you enough for the whole group.
Right.
I think that it might be reasonable to say that in this case, it's actually the whole group minus Crossroads, because Crossroads is very big.
Yes, which is what we discussed
So that
when
might be the compromise if needed.
Yes. I mean, it's Crossroads, so it doesn't really impede its travel that much, but still. Right. So that means that you don't lose the die because essentially your capacity to travel is not impeded, and I'm really not gonna make an argument for sight because all of your sight is impaired by that weather as well. So that gives you 3 dice to roll for engagement, and the person who's going to roll it is Ring.
Okay. Quick check. When I last session I used my weaving the web move, so I have plus 1d to the next engagement roll against Aldo Booker. Does this apply here? It'd be like Aldo Booker and possibly Aldo's forces. I'm fine for it to not apply, and then we just save it. But I wanted to check. You're also welcome to say no because we have enough dice. Just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
That is fine. I will do a 3-die fortune roll for our engagement.
Okay. And you rolled a.
I rolled a 4, so we.
A 2 and a 4.
So we start in a risky position. Which seems reasonable.
Okay, cool. With that in mind, and seeing that we're both already on the scene, where is Ring?
Brandon, in the spirit of the high standard that Dongwon brought to this channel, I would like to engage in some bullshit.
Yes, please.
I think so we saw Skelly's shot ring out, and that was Ring's signal. And Ring is going to do some skullduggery bullshit from the war, which involves dropping from the like second floor overhang with a pole arm into the group of enemies.
Okay. So this is where some manner of observation will need to be done before you can get to that point. So
Okay.
I need someone to make a roll, and in the interest of being the fan of my players, I am willing to say that um Skelly, if Skelly does this roll, Skelly has like relayed this information to you before you are about to take the action that you're about
Yeah,
to take.
I'm on the rooftops and I've got survey, so I feel like
Yeah. So if you give me a survey roll,
Mhm.
your position, your position is risky. Um, your effect is standard, which is above standard for most of the people in this weather.
Okay. Any bonus dice?
Nope.
All right. 4 and a 1.
A 4 and a 1. Okay. You are conscious of the fact that your vision is presently impaired, so you are willing to update this information at a later date, at a later point in this altercation if you notice other people moving. But based on the sight that you presently have, you can spot 4 people. You can spot the one person that you just shot, who technically doesn't count anymore because he's dead.
It was a good clean shot.
Another person approaching from um the opposite end of that street, towards the intersection, and 2 men from the on the other side of the street to the right of the building that you are presently stationed at, but you're not presently focusing your attention on them, precisely because I imagine that that's where Ring is about to devote their attention. So if you were aiming for a crowd, you're aiming with that pole arm for one of those 2 men.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. I could, in fact, wait for them to get to the top of the roof and then just knock them off with the pole arm. As we pan, and Ring is like 10 feet, like 10 feet back from Skelly, kind of perched on the roof, so that the people coming up can't see. And when their head comes up, bye-bye.
Yeah, like Skelly sees them coming and just kind of gestures string. It's like
Yeah, 2 left low, or 2 left climbing, and pop. So yeah, I'm going to mark a large weapon, because
Okay.
pole arms were used in warfare for quite a long time, and I think would be contextually appropriate for a veteran.
So, okay, so I want to clarify because all of the figures that you're presently seeing right now are still on ground level.
Mhm.
Um, and while they're not coming up to the building, they're still walking, approaching Ashland Crossroads. So they're still
Okay.
they're still at ground level. So you'll have to meet them at ground level if you were to confront them.
Okay. Well, I'm fine to see those two going, and then instead of the kind of pull cue motion, we see a montage of Ring with the snow boots, going hop hop down the kind of very jaggerty, like lots of levels, part of the city, because uneven like levels and stories is very common when you have a city that's really old and built on top of itself. And so they have the snow boots, and it goes crunch, crunch. And that's not usually a sound that people associate with someone is coming to kill me. And so I may still be able to surprise them. I'm happy to roll either Prowl or Skirmish, depending on what you think will have a greater effect here.
I
As
think
a
that your entire range of action falls under Prowl.
great.
So essentially, you're rolling not only for your progress towards that action, but for the result of that action.
Okay.
So, how old is Ring again?
Ring is probably in their mid to late 20s. I think that they went off to war. They probably got drafted about as soon as they were allowed to go, which I would guess here is like 16 or so, and was likely in the war for 4 or 5 years and has been back for a couple, because I think the Scotland Unity War ended about 2 years ago.
Right. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool.
So they're young enough that this is not going to be absolute murder on their knees.
Yes, they're still a little spry,
Yeah.
which means that your position is risky, and your effect is standard.
Okay. With standard, would I be incapacitating one of these two?
Standard would a success a success standard would would thoroughly incapacitate one.
Okay. I think I will push for a die rather than effect here, because I only have one in Prowl.
I have a devil's bargain if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear a devil's bargain. Let's get chaos.
Um, it would be very obvious to you that um, like an action of this level, especially if a mess has already been made lower down this street, would gather the attention of the blue coats. What this means mechanically is the 4 segment clock that I made earlier will tick up, and the interaction that you will get is not any interaction with anyone who will observe this, but definitely blue coat activity.
And that clock is currently at what?
Is currently at 1.
And it would tick up by 1.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. Are you also pushing yourself? Are you
I
also
am
still
gonna,
pushing yourself?
I'm going to push myself for a die, and I'm going to take the devil's bargain. So I'm going to roll a Prowl that is risky standard with 2 bonus dice.
Okay.
Risky standard is the knuckle tattoos I'm going to get eventually for Blades in the Dark.
RSKY.
Yeah, STN.
DRD.
Yep. So I got a 5.
Okay. A 5 is a weird position to be in.
Yep.
So how are you attacking this person? Are you just like gonna jump down and just essentially stab them downward with this pole arm?
Yeah, I've been playing Dark Souls, so the dropping attack is very powerful in Dark Souls. So I think Ring has the halberd pointed down, and war is terrible, and no one should ever have to do it. But one of the things you do in war is you get used to murdering people. And so I think what Ring has done more times than they would like to count is dropped, stabbed someone, and landed on their body to break their fall.
Yeah, which is done awkwardly in this circumstance because you don't fall very neatly on this person. Like, your intention was to stab through the head or the neck and just keep going downward. Instead, you like cut a portion of their chest, like a wide diagonal line open through their chest and abdomen. Um, and most of the real harm that is done to this person is your body colliding with them on the way down. Um, they're still severely hurt. They're still very obviously profusely bleeding, but they're still conscious and still armed. And the other opponent right next to them is also armed. Right. So things that are
So this
also
is reduced effect. Is this reduced effect and like worse position just in terms of mechanical consequence?
Um, reduced effect. I don't think
Okay.
like
I would like to resist.
right. Yes.
I would like to resist. So if I can resist all of this, then I think the the bad footing thing just doesn't happen, and then I will roll finesse to see how stressful it was to avoid the bad land.
Okay. All right.
So a prowess resist. I have 2 in prowess, so that's going to be 0 bonus dice. I rolled a 5 and a 1. It cost me 1 stress. Ring is in fact a veteran.
Okay. Um.
And like Ring lands, pulls the halberd out, setting a stance, and says, "On fucking Porter's Day."
There's this moment where like the other assailant right next to them is like frozen in shock and disbelief at the fact that that's the first thing that came to your mind while people are attacking you in the middle of the street. It's like, what is really happening here? Who is Ash's colleagues at this moment? And I want to say, because this is out of time, that look of confusion and frustration as Ring utters those words will be the very last scene of tonight's episode of The Case of the Cindered Seal, which I'm particularly excited about because it means that next episode we just get into a fight. We just start with more bloodshed. This is a lot. I'm sorry to you all. I didn't. If it were me and not the dice, Iori, Ash would not have gotten shot.
Are you kidding? That was great.
Oh my god! Everything about that restaurant scene still really squicks me out, but I'm really glad that you all enjoyed that. I still want to know how people know what it feels like to be a concussed baby, but I'm never going to bring it up again. Um,
Sorry.
oh god!
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much. This game has continually gone to like one weird place to the other, and I love it a lot. I'm really glad that we're playing Blades for this because Blades is just empowered by wild bullshit. And I like that you all go very like eagerly into all of that wildness. So thank you very much for that. How do you all feel about tonight's game?
I feel like as a campaign that started with me finessing a box of crickets at a cop from my chest, this is going about as planned.
Point of clarification. Did Ring manage that kill?
Oh yeah, I mean he's going to die. He's just not dead yet.
Yeah,
We'll count it.
If I resisted the consequence, then standard effect was that person is taken out.
We'll count it. So the total death count for this campaign is now at 5.9. 1 to Skelly, 1 to Ring, 3.9 to our friend Crossroads, our big and protective friend.
Nice. The rest, next session is going to potentially double the overall death count. We will see how that goes. But until then, I have been your GM, Brandon O'Brien, in this wild and lovely game of Blades in the Dark called The Case of the Cindered Seal. And I would like all of my friends to please introduce yourselves by telling the lovely people in chat who you are, what you do, and where people can find you and your work, starting with Valerie.
I am Valerie Valdes. You can find me at valerievaldes.com. Valerie Valdes on Twitter. Valerie Valdes author in some other random places online. And you can find my books in major bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, etc. Chilling Effect and Pride and Deceptions are out now. Fault Tolerance should be out next year.
Nice. Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano. Find me on Twitter at Iori Kusano. Fiction in Apex, nonfiction in Strange Horizons.
Next, Mike.
I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate, along with Brandon and Arv, aka Greg. I have a Patreon with essays about the business of publishing, craft of writing, and some stuff about role-playing games. I happen to be developing a role-playing game, which happens somehow. It's going pretty well, question mark, question mark. I have a book in the Expansive Futures bundle, which is being hosted by Story Bundle and also benefits SFWA. And you can find that at storybundle.com/sci-fi. Also, we are doing a special Blaze of the Dark one shot that I am running for M.A. Carrick, which is Marie Brennan and Alyssa Helms, who are two dear writer friends of mine, along with two other mutual friends. That is going to be here 1 week from today on the 28th at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that is set in the world of The Mask and the Mirror, I believe, which is the first book in the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick, which is, I think if you like this, you'll probably like that. It's just that one is way more politicsy and cool clothes and less like exploding electroplasm.
Knowing you and all of your friends, I trust that it will still be very wild and very explosive, regardless. They will find a way to blow things up. I believe it. And last but not least, Yoi.
Hello, hello, Yoi Gawain Lin, game and fiction writer. You can find me at This Is My Design at Twitter. Design is capital DASEIN. It is a philosophy joke and a Hannibal pun. And I have played your big and protective friend made of meat today.
Nice. And you can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tithes. That's TITHES. You can also find the Fugitives crew sheet that this party is using on my itch.io storefront. That's therisingtides.itch.io. If you want to play a game of Blades in the Dark that is about investigating how you have found yourself in a tense situation and resolving to avenge that injustice through your own hard work, I definitely encourage you to look at that sheet. I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, it empowers all of these cool people to do weird things in this goddamn game. So I think you would enjoy it a great deal. So I am just going to briefly disappear for a bit from this chat and move to you over here so I can tell all of you lovely people that it was a blast to share this space with you all. This was a lot of fun. Um, I think that tonight went in a lot of places that was highly unexpected, and I'm still kind of sorry that it got to that point. But I'm glad that everybody still enjoyed it. We are getting the most out of Blades in the Dark as a game, and I'm really glad to be able to play the Case of the Cindered Seal with these lovely people, and to play it for all of you lovely people over here in chat, whom I'm going to briefly thank right now. Obviously, first and foremost, thank you very much to Arvin Elleron, Gregory Wilson, for giving me the opportunity to GM this game on this channel, and thank you again to Greg and to Mike Underwood for giving me an opportunity to be a part of the to be a part of the Speculate team, and to be able to bring all of my weird bullshit to bear as a member of this team. Um, Thanks again to Arvin Elleron for being the broadcaster of this Twitch channel. Thank you to Arudinel and Triffid Emats for being our wonderful mods in the chat. Especially, thank you so much, Triffid Emats, for consistently ensuring that links to everybody's cool things are in the chat. Thank you so much to Arudinel and Triffid Emats for being such wonderful mods. And Also shout outs to Tilted Gaming, another TTV viewer, Aiton, Carbob14XYZ, Cinder XP, Commander Root, Dipperdog15, Galadriel Bot, Gorgar, Ildelara, Kusano Iori, Live Sueng, Mercs of Mischief, Mrs. Dunsill, Prince Justin, Saint Pomelo, Tom Toms, The Kids Are Asleep, Turbo Tango, Twitch Details, U Christensen, VNK, Video Store Cowboy, Virgo Pros, and Wanderer G. Uren for attending this evening's stream, and I hope that you all enjoyed what you saw. I hope that it encourages you to play Blades in the Dark, because I think it's a really neat game, and I think that everybody will enjoy playing it. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with us. Look out for our next session of the Case of the Cindered Seal, which will come sometime in March. Date to be announced. Look out for Mike's game of Blades with M.A. Carrick on next week's slot on this Sunday, which will be the one Sunday this month that I will not be a GM. So I will look forward to just being in the audience and witnessing other people's bullshit instead of potentially suffering the experience of being afraid that I'm making all of my friends sad when I GM them in this game. But yes, thank you very much for joining us. Um, and without, in fact, I should see if we can we perhaps host a thing. My experience running this channel is actually kind of difficult, and I feel like I'm not in a position to do the hosting thingy. But if it is possible that I can direct this energy to other cool people who are also doing cool game things, I would like perhaps to do that. But I do not think that anyone is presently online. Yes, unfortunately, I would have directed that energy elsewhere, but I don't see any of my friends actively online. So instead, I will just wish everybody a wonderful evening. I'm glad that you joined us for this game, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. So I will see you all later, and have a good evening. Bye.